On this week's episode of Nintendo Noise, we're breaking out the calendar to try and predict what the rest of Nintendo Switch 2's first year looks like. Whoa. There we go. What's up, Internet? You're tuned into this week's episode of Nintendo Noise, Split Screen Games' weekly Nintendo podcast. I'm your host, Pete and Bessie, joined by my very good friends and co-hosts, Mr. Ken Hicks.
What it do?
And Mr. Jack Ryan.
What up?
Oh, you can really get all the throat sounds on that new microphone.
You're welcome.
Now that's what I call ASMR.
Is that what you call it?
Killing two birds with one stone over here.
I think.
Yeah, like you're getting your video game news, our predictions, and some sweet Jack Ryan guzzling.
Wow, what a week. It's the gift that keeps on taking, I think. Anyway, so we are going to do a fun one today. It's a bit of a hybrid episode. It's a little bit of pulling out the calendar and doing some speculating. It's going to be a little bit of a predictions dealy. But we're going to do it's going to be like a bit of a hybrid one, because usually when we do our predictions, it's like there's a broad topic and we just come with predictions, right? This is going to be more like we're going to try to take a look at all of the information we allegedly have about the rest of this year and try to start filling in some blanks and seeing which of these things we think are, going to happen and which ones are maybe realistically not. I want to start by talking about the sales, right? Because we haven't done a check-in on Nintendo Switch 2 sales forecast in a minute. And, there was an update just at the beginning of August, right, that the Switch 2 had sold, what's the exact number? I think it was 5.82 million units. Actually, might be more than that by now, even. Yeah, more than 6 million in the first 6 weeks that it was on the market, right? And if you compare that to the Switch 1's first month on the market, it had 2.7 million sold in its first week. So, obviously in a really, really good spot right now, right? And the latest is that Nintendo is struggling to maintain demand, right? There's more demand than there are units available. So, I think the question I want to start with is, how many units do you think Nintendo Switch 2 is able to sell by March 2026? Right? Because
how many?
Go ahead.
Like how many can they make? Because we were all there with the original Switch. You couldn't find the Switch anywhere. It would take people months to find a Switch 1, right? With the Switch 2, even though it's not easy to find, I've noticed a lot more restocks of the Switch 2 compared to the Switch 1. So it looks like they were really prepared for that. And the fact that they are, even though they don't have the supply to meet the demand, the fact that they're significantly closer to the demand in terms of supply, the sky's the limit, really. And, if the rumors are true about them like stockpiling Switch 2s before release and getting them over to America before the tariffs and whatnot kicked in to maintain the pricing is true, then it wouldn't surprise me if they just went all in on production there.
I think that's true, and I think that is why they have had as many as they did have. I think that 5 to 7 million or 6 million units in the first 4 to 6 weeks, I feel like that's totally driven by the fact that they stockpiled units and were preparing to have consoles on hand for launch. I wonder if we're not reaching kind of the end of that supply, though, right? And that's where I think your question becomes very interesting, is are they physically able to print enough to exceed the number? Because their original prediction was 15 million, right? And that was a reduced prediction from their original prediction. So it's they haven't updated it now based on the number that we have. So is that all they think they'll be able to produce, or is that all they think they'll be able to sell, I guess is my question.
Yeah, and I guess kind of impossible to answer right now. Definitely kind of apples to oranges. With the Switch 1, we said, 2 million and some change at this point in its life cycle?
Yeah,
that it sold?
2.7 was in the first month. So, let's
Right.
say
And it was
3 million and change, right?
sure. Yeah, even 3.5 will round up.
Sure.
And it was impossible to find one for like its first, I don't know, 6 months it felt like. Whereas we've sold 6 million already, and at least in our area, they are very easy to find in stores.
And
So
there's
I don't know.
online
I don't know
retailers
when
are restocking them like it's seemingly like every week, you know?
At the
Yeah.
very least, like maybe you can't, if you're a super casual Nintendo fan and say, I'm going to go buy a Switch 2, and you drive to whatever your big box store is, maybe they won't have it on a given day. But if you're looking online, like if you're following stock and trying to find one, it seems like it's been very easy. And I'm just wondering when the sales surge spikes, like when we meet the point where supply has satisfied everyone that knew going in they were going to buy a Switch 2. Like these next, I would say 8 months are what I'm really interested in seeing. Through the holiday season, of course, there's going to be a big spike, but those first like 3 months of 2026 will be super interesting.
I think that's definitely a huge question mark for me, especially when there's like all these other factors at play, right? Like it's like there's the kind of looming question of like, at least in the United States, right? Like, are like tariffs going to impact things at all? Obviously, we just saw them increase the price of a bunch of the original Switch stuff,
Which
right?
is wild.
Which is
I've
insane.
never seen that.
That console never got a price cut. It got a price hike. That's crazy. That all is very interesting, right? It's like, are there going to be these outside market factors that influence demand, right? Like, will there be an issue where there is less demand because the price goes up? Will there be an issue where this maintains the same demand, but then the supply becomes difficult because, they're able to get fewer into the U.S. without driving up the price? I think that all of those things are really interesting factors to consider. But I think the other kind of big elephant in the room, and we can jump around a little bit before we like plant our flags on these predictions, is the software lineup attractive enough to like call for another big push, right? Because you think about the Switch 1, we did a whole episode about all the momentum that console had, right? In that Nintendo was coming out of a historic low point. So there was like, that shiny new toy excitement. It had Breath of the Wild as a launch title. It had Mario Odyssey later that year. It had a bunch of other really solid games in that interim period, like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Splatoon 2 and on, right? Obviously the Switch 2 just doesn't have that same like library day and date, like obviously we all really enjoyed Mario Kart World. We've been getting on really well with DK Bonanza. And like, not to denigrate those games at all. I think DK Bonanza is
slaps.
Excellent. Yeah, it's excellent. Right. But like right now there are 5 major Switch games that are supposed to come out this year with no release date. And then there's like 4 other games that have a release date. And I think it's debatable whether or not some of them are major, right? So like, and this is not all the games coming to the console, but I wanted to zero on things that you could only play on Nintendo Switch 2 and that wouldn't be available on one of the other devices or on Switch itself, right? And so the 5 that have, the 4 that have release dates, right? We have Pokemon Legends ZA. That's obviously a big one. Dragon Drive, which is not. Kirby and the Forgotten Land plus Starcross World, which I think is cool, but I wouldn't call a system seller. And then Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion, which I think is another one that, like, I don't know, right? Like, there were people that really liked the original game. It didn't run super well. I think there's an opportunity for this one to maybe have a bigger splash, but I wouldn't call it a major release, right?
Yeah, not in the West, at least.
So then the games that don't have release dates include Metroid Prime 4, Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, Kirby Air Riders, Elden Ring, and Final Fantasy VII Remake. And I think with some of those, it's like, I don't know that Elden Ring or Final Fantasy are going to be things that like people pick up a Switch 2 for. I think they're probably more things that serve the folks that already have one and just want to play those games on the go or whatever. The other three
with the code key, right?
Sure. Yeah. The other three I would argue are like those are bigger deals, whether or not they're system sellers. Like they're games that I think people are gonna want to see hit the finish line, and I'm not super confident that they all will. And I think that is another interesting factor in terms of like sell through, right? Like, is there a huge motivation to go pick it up in the same way that like maybe you were kind of interested in Breath of the Wild, right? But then you're like, oh, I got to play Mario Odyssey, so I'm going to get it, and then I'll pick up the games that I missed, right? If there isn't another game that hits on the level of DK Bonanza by the end of the year, or even if there's only one and it's Metroid, right? Is that enough? Is that, you know, does that get you to that 15 million unit, or does that not even matter at this point?
So let's be clear. The Switch 2 is the fastest selling video game console of all time, and there are really only two noteworthy console exclusives right this second, right? You say, is one more game going to be enough? Is two more games going to be enough? Like, you know, not for nothing. The Switch 2 doesn't have to do much to get that 15 million unit a number, in my opinion, other than actually produce that many and get them in the hands of people. I think there's going to be a huge spike during the holiday season. And I personally think that if Metroid Prime 4 comes out and it runs significantly better on the Switch 2, because it's also going to be on the original Switch, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
And so is Pokemon.
Yeah. But like, if you've been waiting all this time to play Metroid Prime 4, if like that's your jam, you're going to want to play it in the best way possible. It's going to be smoother on the Switch 2, load faster. I got a Switch 2 because I wanted to play Pokemon and 60 frames per second after getting decimated on the Switch 1. The Switch 1 Pokemon games had me wheezing for my life. But even though that game doesn't come out till October, I was like, well, it's going to cost the same amount now as it will in October, so I might as well get Switch 2 now and enjoy the few games that come out in between now and then, right? So I think there are a lot of people who just know they're going to get a Switch 2 eventually, and if they save up their money, because it isn't a cheap console, it's $450. It's more than a PlayStation 5, right? Like if you get the digital edition of a PS5.
No, the PS5 digital edition is the same price, isn't it?
It's $400.
No, really?
Yeah.
No.
If you want it with the disc drive, it's $500. But if you don't care about that,
I think it's 500 and 550. But I'm gonna fact check you on that one.
Yo, fact check me. I'm fairly confident.
Yeah, I think
I'm
Ken's right. Unless they raise it because of tariffs, I think no disc drive has always been 400.
450.
What?
450 at Best Buy and on PlayStation.com. If you get it refurbished at GameStop, you can get it for 430. They did have that global price hike a while ago, but I didn't think it hit America. Is the thing?
Yeah, maybe I'm misremembering.
I think you're misremembering because I do think it was.
I'm living in your same Mandela timeline for what it's worth, Ken.
You guys came from the same alternate timeline where it's $100
at the very least. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see here.
I think it's always been 450, but
it says it launched without a disc drive at $400.
Okay, then it was the part of the price increase. Then I guess.
But I guess now with like inflation and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean they made it more expensive in like every country in the world, and then I guess it finally caught up to us here, and I just hadn't realized because I own one.
Yeah, so I guess that does put it like same price as PS5 then technically.
I think it costs what consoles cost, and that has historically been a thing that you would like. Nintendo's consoles were cheaper, right? Or at least have been for the last 3 generations, right? So I think that like people have more sticker shock because of
when Nintendo does it.
Yeah, then I think every other console you're gonna spend about $500 on it out the door, you know,
or $700 if you want a PS5 Pro, but that's a conversation for another day.
So anywho, I guess I'll chime in with what might be a hot take. I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion. I kind of feel like they have done enough with DK Bonanza. We're 2 months into the system, the console generation, and we have a great exclusive already.
Yeah.
I feel like if you were on the fence, that's all the good faith you needed to know that more good exclusives are coming. If you're someone who is a naysayer and spewing about the price online all day and complaining and, trashing every attempt they make to get people interested in it, then it's probably not going to be 1 or 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 more exclusives that gets you on board. But I think the majority of the crowd that's on the fence just got a great reason to buy one, and will probably be looking toward one before the end of the year.
Yeah, I think the holiday equation there is like definitely a big part of it for sure. Like there are people who are going to be like looking for a thing to ask for Christmas, and I think that's a good shout. I think the interesting thing about the software is like I didn't even think about it until we started talking about it, but like the two games that I would say are like the 2 big games coming for the rest of the year are actually not Switch 2 games. They'll be better on Switch 2, and like one of them might not even run on Switch 1, even though it'll come out on it.
So what are the 2 confirmed games for this year?
Well, I'm assuming that Metroid Prime 4 will come, and then Pokemon already has a release date, right?
Mm-hmm.
The 4 that were confirmed on the list I gave before were Pokemon Legends ZA, Dragon Drive, Kirby and the Forgotten Land plus Starcross World, and Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion.
Which, aside from Pokemon, no disrespect to Kirby, but I'm not sure if Kirby's the system seller.
I don't know. I think it could be. And you said we could jump around, so I'm gonna jump around.
Yeah, jump around.
I think Air Riders could be the system selling racing game that Mario Kart World, in my opinion, didn't really end up being, especially at its price point. I think Kirby Air Riders could be a dark horse and a really great experience that we don't see coming. It could go either way. It could just be a Kirby, Air Rider sequel that is worth what it's worth. But I think that one has a lot of potential.
I think you're right. I don't know that I think it comes out this year, though.
I doubt it. Like, we haven't seen any gameplay. Apparently, there's been some behind-the-scenes demos being taken place that I've heard through leaks on the internet. But I think next year is far more likely, because no disrespect to Sakurai, right? But literally every single Smash game that he's ever announced got a delay. Every single one, except for like Melee.
My man likes to take his time,
which is good. Like, a delayed game can eventually be good, but a rushed game is forever bad, right? So I don't need that.
It wouldn't make sense to have 2 multiplayer racing games competing with each other over the holiday. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
No, you're going to want to sell a Mario Kart bundle, and I think you're right. So that's like it's kind of interesting. Like I kind of don't know that we're going to have another big Switch 2 exclusive by the end of the year, which I don't disagree with you, because I do think DK Bonanza is great. Like, I think it's a legit Game of the Year contender, and maybe that is enough, but it is crazy to think that like the year that the Switch came out, it had 2 Game of the Year contenders of 4, and like we don't. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess it doesn't matter because it's a proven concept at this point, but it is a little interesting to me that like it feels like with how long they waited, and they're like, we're waiting to shore up the software lineup and make sure we have. It's like it does kind of feel like they're still playing cards really close to their chest to not,
and it's out there.
Yeah.
Definitely interesting that Bonanza came so soon. Like, I almost feel like the reception of the launch window through the end of the year would be better if it was like more spaced out. Like, we got Mario Kart World and it was a slow start, but then 3 or 4 months in, we got Bonanza and it was great. And then at the end of the year, we got Metroid Prime 4. And it almost feels like it was such an immediate 1-2 bang. Yeah. Now it feels like a bit of a lull.
Yeah,
that holiday window,
and it almost feels like they should have done it the opposite way. Like, I feel like DK should have came out at launch, and then you give us Mario Kart over the summer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just so strange, a month apart. Like, why not just have them both be launch games at that point?
Right? Yeah, push the launch back a few weeks. I mean, I don't know. I that could be where some of the calculus came in for like shipping and everything, and like timing a worldwide release around all of these, factors that historically, are not an issue, and things that they definitely wouldn't have planned for. Right.
Yeah. Fair enough.
It is interesting.
Yeah, and like I will say this, you said that the Switch 1 launched with 2 Game of the Year contenders in the first like calendar year.
Yeah.
Right? If Metroid is as good as the other ones, right? Let's just say it's as good. That could be a Game of the Year contender as well. Like it can blow us away.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, honestly, I don't have any doubt about Metroid quality-wise necessarily. I think it's more like it's a more niche kind of game.
Yeah, and it's in my head like it's so a Switch 2 exclusive, but it's not at all.
No.
It's been in development forever, so it was probably designed mostly around the Switch 1, right? And then received Switch 2 upgrades somewhere into the development cycle. If you want Metroid Prime 4 and you don't have the money for a Switch 2 or you're not super interested in one, like it's not a Breath of the Wild situation where you can go buy a Wii U because 10 people on Earth owned one, or you can go buy the new console.
Right. Yeah, like that's the thing is if it runs well on Switch, which I think it probably will.
Yeah, because it was designed for it.
Yeah, and it's designed by a studio with pretty strong pedigree, right? So it's like the idea that they made something that's very performant in the way that like the Zelda games run really well, even though it seems like crazy that they do, right? It's like it's the not well optimized games like Pokemon and stuff that don't run.
Yeah, but to your point, like it's super niche, and there is a very small minority of hardcore Metroid fans who will go buy Switch 2 to play the best possible version of it.
Right.
But a very small number in the grand scheme.
And I think that the game definitely has more of an uphill battle to be like a Game of the Year contender at the end of the year because of the kind of game that it is. And that's not at all reflective of its quality. And Metroidvanias are not as niche as they used to be either. But I don't know. It's like it's one of those things where it could easily come out and be like, holy shit, this is a 10 out of 10. It's definitely Game of the Year. Like, oh my God. Or it could be like a really hard 9 that like if you're a dork and you played it, you really fuck with it. And otherwise you told people that it was really good. And they said they'd get
Metroid Dread get a nod? Just out of curiosity?
Let's find out. I don't remember.
Because it certainly deserved one.
How did Metroid Dread sell? That's the other thing.
Well, very well. It's like the best-selling Metroid game of all time, which is not saying much in the grand scheme of things, but by the franchise's standards, yeah, it did really well. I think it outsold every other Metroid game combined, actually.
Wait, combined? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, Prime has not sold well historically.
None of them have. Metroid has never been a big system seller, or a big seller. It was the 2021 winner, I think, of the Game Awards. Let's see, TGA 2021. That's what it looks like.
That came out in 2021. What do you mean that game came out almost 4 years ago?
Yeah, we're old.
What happened? I feel like that game came out like a year or two ago, not 4 years ago.
Okay, you know what? So I'm sorry. It didn't win Game of the Year. That was It Takes Two that year. I guess it won. It won something. Here we go. Best action game, action adventure game.
But Game of the Year nominated or no?
No, did not get the nod for Game of the Year.
Yeah, I would be very, very surprised if Metroid Prime 4 did then. Unless it's an absolute masterpiece that blows us away.
It could be.
Absolutely could be. That is so not outside the realm. Because, I think prior to Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey being released, it would have been easy to have been like, yeah, they probably won't be nominated. Those kinds of games will get nominated for Game of the Year. And then they were what they were. That's a lot of pressure for it to live up to, which is very similar to the conversation we had about DK Bonanza of like, is this going to hit the way people need it to? And we all seem to think it did. So it's got 91 on Metacritic, pretty goddamn high. So, never say never, never count them out. Right. But it feels like an uphill battle in a way that I think, I don't know though. It's so hard because I am judging these with hindsight. I am judging it with hindsight. Of course, Breath of the Wild was Game of the Year, right? But a few months before it was released, that was a way bigger question.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we know the Zelda game is going to be good, but we had no idea it was going to be that good.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
and it was also like, oh, it's open world Zelda. That's a cool idea. Not like, oh, this is going to be like a transcendent open world game.
Oh, video games just changed.
Right,
Cool.
exactly. And it's like this. I mean, this could be that, right? Because like, what is the like there are not any real major Metroidvania franchises that are not 2D. So like this could be the right game at the right time, and it could, be like, who knows, right? Like it could be a Dark Souls situation where it like kicks off a new genre because it's so fucking cool and popular, or it could be a really good niche game that sells a respectable amount of copies.
I'm leaning toward that one, but time will tell.
Yeah, me too. Which is honestly fine. I don't think it needs to be more than that, but it's just when you're playing this like comparison game and like wondering where the chips are going to fall now that like the initial wave of excitement seems to be over, those do seem like relevant factors. But we did a whole episode about what seemed like relevant factors, and here we are, and the thing is still selling like crazy because the Switch brand is so strong, and maybe that's all that matters.
And just to clarify, I think Metroid Prime 4 is going to be great. That's kind of my like baseline going into it. At worst, I think it's going to be great and pretty widely recognized as such.
Agreed. My expectation
just as
high.
a Switch 2 seller, I think it has a very uphill battle.
Yeah. If that game's anything less than an 8 out of 10, I would be shocked.
Just considering that they went back to the drawing board with it and everything, it's like I think that they're going to really make sure that it's where it needs to be before it comes out. It's been in development for so fucking long.
Yeah, Nintendo, values the reputational side of it so much. And if it wasn't up to snuff, like I don't think it'd be coming out at this point.
Yeah. And again, I think when you consider Metroid Dread and how goddamn successful that was, I think they probably see the opportunity to make Metroid into more of a system seller, into more of a marquee title, because it never has been, even though it's extremely iconic. The iconography from it is like has a way larger footprint than the games themselves, and like it invented an entire subgenre of games basically single-handedly. Well, Castlevania as well, but it very much seems like a thing that they realize they should be capitalizing on in a bigger way. So I'm aligned with you on that, Jack. I think that there's very little chance that it's not gonna come out and be a very high quality. I don't know that is enough to break the Metroid curse, because Metroidvanias are like a deeper, headier genre, and I don't think they're for everybody.
I'm curious, what's the best-selling Metroidvania game? Let me see.
Probably Hollow Knight.
Probably Hollow Knight, yeah. If I had to guess. If I was a betting man.
That's a very safe
Which
bet.
I am.
Oh, yeah, like Hollow Knight sold more than 6 million copies. And it's also readily available on multiple consoles. So
there you go.
My toaster can run it, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So let's start planting some flags here.
all right.
Let's start. We'll just go in the order that I laid them out, I guess. How many units do you think Nintendo Switch 2 will sell by March 2026? So that's the end of this fiscal year.
Okay, so I'll get this started, right? If their forecast is 15 million, I think they'll beat it, but not by a lot. Right?
Okay.
I'm thinking 16.5 mil, which would still be like a crazy, run.
Yeah, still a big dub. Okay. What about you, Jack?
I'm taking the under, I think.
Okay.
I think at a point we're gonna reach the saturation point where everyone who wants one has saved up the money to get one, and there's stock to, meet them at the door. And I think there's going to be not a major and now it's this sales crisis. No one wants one, but I think it's going to be a steady climb from there.
You see,
fastest selling of all time because it was one of the most beloved consoles of all time, and it was a direct sequel. And there were a lot of people ready on day one to jump into that new generation. I think once all those people have a Switch 2, it's going to be a bit more steady. So I don't know if I gave a number, but I'll say like 12.5, a little short of 15.
Okay.
Okay.
Which I think is roughly, I think that's the ballpark of what the original Switch sold in its first year, if I'm not mistaken. It's like between I think it was like 12 and 14 or something like that.
And a lot of other factors too. Like wallets are just getting tighter across this country by the week, by the month. So I think that's going to play in as well.
I think based on you making that decision, I think I'm going to hedge, and I think I'm going to be a little bullish, and I think I'm going to say that they hit 17 million.
Ooh. Are we doing the Price is Right rules? Whoever gets the closest without going over?
Absolutely.
Always. Always Price is Right. I think that's the move, because I think you're right, Ken. I think that it makes sense that they could end up like doing a little bit better than expected, because right now they've already exceeded their expectations, right? Not by a lot, but by a little. And I think I'm willing to bet on the fact that, to the point you made, Jack, like money is tighter right now, and I think that makes video game consoles a particularly attractive option for entertainment right now, because everything is more expensive and games are barely more expensive than they were, versus a lot of other things that have had more significant jumps and offer a smaller return on investment. So I think when you come into like the holiday season, if you're looking for like what's the hot thing to get as somebody that's interested in games, or for a kid or whatever, I do think Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be the hot seller. Or I'll be wrong and Jack will be right, and that'll be that.
Well, we can't let him be right.
I was like, it's 14 or 17 is like the two numbers I'm feeling in my gut for some reason.
Yeah, I if we were allowed two votes, I'd probably land exactly the same spot that you're at.
That range, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge holiday surge, but $500 is so much for a console, on top of needing a $70 game to go with it.
Right.
With no
unless you get the 500, unless you get the bundle, like they're coming out with a Pokemon bundle.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
They'll still have the Mario Kart bundle out for a bit. So I think those are going to push people over the edge.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's not obviously not the most expensive console that's ever come out. It's just, whereas Nintendo was a no-brainer holiday decision for a lot of households, like at that price point, it's just not feasible.
Yeah, it's more prohibitive for sure.
Alrighty. So we need to put it in our calendars to check back on this.
We will. We definitely will. We'll do a follow-up. We'll see who won.
So we can laugh at our predictions when they hit 20 mil.
I'll be laughing all the way to the bank because I'll win that one. So that's great.
Or when Nintendo goes over for money laundering and the Switch 2 goes extinct and they never sell another unit.
We gotta protect Miyamoto.
So we got 5 major Switch games without release dates. And the question I want to ask, simple binary, do you think game will be delayed? Metroid Prime 4. Do we think Metroid Prime 4 will be delayed?
No.
No, I don't think so either. I think the fact that they gave a window is enough for me to think that it's happening because of what a catastrophe it was around release previously. I think the main reason it doesn't have, you know what? All right, hold on. I want to think about this out loud now. Because my initial thought was it doesn't have a release date because, like, there are other things to talk about right now. But it's like they gave Pokemon a release date.
Ooh.
Like, why doesn't it have one? If it's
it could
out
just
in the
be
next
a cautious,
less than 6 months.
Yeah, I guess just a cautious play. They know that if they announce it in like even early September for early November, that's enough to get the word out to folks. Just in case, like they might be a little behind schedule and just want to give themselves the wiggle room and not have to delay it.
I predict a November release, early to mid-November, right for Black Friday and the holiday season.
Why wouldn't we know that now then though? Like we know Pokemon's coming out in October and we know it's going to have a bundle. If this game is coming out a month later, why have we heard about that?
Probably because it does have a bundle, and they're starting the advertising for like the Pokemon ZA hype train, the unveiled Mega Dragonite. I think they're gonna like let Pokemon have its moment, and then go all in advertising Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah, I think in another week or two we could easily see a Metroid Direct pop up out of nowhere.
Nintendo does like to do that. They'll announce we have a Direct at like 3:00 in the morning.
They do often have Directs in September, so that. We could get a Metroid Direct in September, and then maybe it's out even in December.
Yeah, I agree that we're getting close, but I don't think we're at the point quite yet where it's like, oh, there's no way it's not delayed because we haven't heard anything.
Yeah, I think it could slip, but I am going to say no. I think that's the safer bet.
Yeah, and I'll say this. They restarted development of this game. They announced they restarted development back in January of 2019.
Right.
So it's been in development for a solid 6 years.
Yeah, I that's the thing is I don't think it's like a long delay, but it's like I wouldn't be surprised if it got delayed till early next year since we just haven't heard anything. We've seen a decent amount of it, but
I'm sure they're just kind of going week by week with it.
Yeah.
And deciding, do we really want to commit to saying November, or do we need the wiggle room and do we want to keep it close to our hand? Because it looks like this might slide into January or whatever it is.
Particularly when you think about the fact that there's all these other games that don't have release dates that could also be influencing the fact that they haven't put a date on it because they don't know when these other partners are going to have things ready to go. And, they only have so much marketing bandwidth, right?
Yeah.
Okay, next one.
Take leaks for what they're worth, but all the rumors right now seem to suggest that it's a lock for this year.
All right, next one. Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment.
Is it bad if I say I don't care?
I mean, you can, but you won't get points for that. I'm going to say no. I think we've seen enough of this that I think it's coming. I think this is one that the people that are going to buy it are going to buy it, and it doesn't get that much marketing oxygen, which is why you haven't gotten a date yet.
Yeah.
I'll say something ruder than Ken. You better not need to delay a copy-paste formula of reuse Zelda assets.
Yeah.
So no, then?
That's a no from me.
I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to say it slips into early 2026.
Cool. I could see that too, because I think it would be a fine game to come out in January or February. It's like that kind of game of like, yeah, sure, it's out.
Didn't those, or at least one of the Switch titles in that series, run like butt on the Switch one?
Definitely.
Yeah.
The first
one and it runs
did.
a lot better on the Switch too. Also, that Fire Emblem game as well.
Yeah, same formula.
And if you think about it, if Pokemon does come out in October, and let's say Metroid is November, you don't need to release anything new in December because you're just riding the wave of what came out earlier this year. Moving some of these to the January, February point, assuming Metroid Prime 4 isn't delayed, just kind of spreads out like the exclusives a little bit.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm going with, and to be fair, I won't even say delayed because they said winter window. So I don't know. The next game you're about to say though is 100% getting delayed.
Kirby Air Riders. Yeah, I think it's. I definitely agree. I think it's getting delayed.
Did they say that's coming this year?
They did.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's crazy.
Which is bizarre. I don't know why they said that. It's just like that seems so wrong.
It's crazy how they just straight up lied like that. Right
now at Nintendo headquarters, there's a whiteboard with 2027 and a question mark after it, with Kirby Air Riders written at the top.
Yeah, I think 2026 likely. I don't think it's going to get super delayed. We've been hearing about Metroid Prime 4 for 6 years.
Oh, it's been much more than 6, my friend.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah,
That's just some
technically
maybe
they
start
announced
development.
it at the beginning of it was the reveal of the console. They announced it, and then like 2 years later, they're like, we beefed it. We're gonna start over.
Which I can't help but respect. They said like, no,
that's the
this
right
ain't it.
move for sure. Still bizarre. Yeah, I don't think this one makes it across the bow. We haven't seen anything about it. I agree with Jack that it doesn't make a lot of sense to release it in the same year as Mario Kart. I think it's at least a year or two away. All right, Elden Ring.
No.
Yeah. No.
Those are all 3 options. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Elden
No.
Ring and Nintendo
Yeah.
are just such. Those two concepts are so at odds in my brain. On paper, right? No, of course not. An Elden Ring port should not be delayed. But on Switch 2,
I'm going to say yes. I think it's going to get delayed. I think, to your point, it's such a, like, point-and-shoot operation, theoretically, that, like, why doesn't it have a date? Why isn't it out then if it's...
yeah,
I don't think it's done.
I'm with you. I'm sold. I'm a yes.
All right. All right, and then last, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Yes.
Yes.
Same deal. It's an old game. If it was ready, it would be ready, and I don't think it is.
And
Counterpoint, I don't think Square cares enough to delay it. No matter what shape it's in.
So you think it just comes out in December or something?
Yeah.
All right.
And
I'll put you down for a no.
it could, yeah, it might run at like 8 frames per second, but I think that they're sticking a schedule on that.
They could
one.
patch it, you know. Release a pro version for $10 more that runs better, you know.
So counterpoint though, Square likes to take their sweet time releasing ports. Like it took forever for like Final Fantasy 16, or that's a bad example because that's an exclusive. But it took like a while for a lot of these Square games to come out on other consoles if they didn't come out on the multi-console at launch.
Yeah.
So that's why I say, yeah, it'd get delayed, most likely. Okay. I can't even say it's delayed because they never announced the release date. We just assumed it's coming out this year because it's a port.
I think that one they did say 2025.
Did they?
I think so. Let me confirm, because yeah, it's yeah, that's what they said. That's what they said.
Yeah, so we shall see. But maybe then Square does like money. They might want that holiday money.
Yeah, check the reviews before you pre-order, but that's coming out this year. Calling that right now.
All right. So now we got 4 games with a release date. Now, we're going to play this one a little bit differently. The question here is going to be, what will X Games Metacritic score be?
Okay.
Pokemon Legends ZA. What do we think?
14.
Oh, wow. That's rude.
No.
That's rude.
I'll say 81.
Okay.
Nope. I'll say 79. Taking the under.
Okay. 79. What do you think, Ken?
Respectable. Well, here's the thing. I think it's going to run like ass on the original Switch. That's where I got to Switch to. And I think it's going to run super well on the Switch too. So the question is, will the reviews be skewed if like it has really crappy performance on the Switch one that brings down the overall Metacritic
Yeah,
score?
that's a good question. Are we doing aggregate or just Switch 2 score?
Well, I would say probably aggregate, because I don't know that it'll have 2 different scores, because it's not technically 2 different games. It's just how it you know what I mean? It's like, that's an interesting question.
All right, I go back to 14 then.
I think it depends for sure. Hold on, let me see something though. I mean, Pokemon Scarlet has a 72, and that game didn't run. So,
yeah, but Legends Arceus scored much better than Scarlet and Violet.
it did,
Yeah.
because it was a better game in every conceivable way.
Yeah, facts. And I think this game's going to be better too. So that's why I'm going to be optimistic
Okay.
and say 83.
Okay, that's the score that the original got. So you think
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'm gonna bump mine up to 81.
Okay.
Final answer.
I am also feeling an 81. I have reservations about elements of the game, and I don't know how. Like the not turn-based battle stuff, I could see not being as good as Arceus was moment to moment, and I could see that knocking it down a peg. But I think a lot of the other stuff they've showed seems really promising, and I think particularly to like more casual players will probably be appealing. So I think it'll hit that. I hope we're all wrong and it's even a little higher. I definitely don't see it higher than an 85. I think that a Pokemon game getting an 85 would be like a Pokemon game getting a 10. So we'll see what happens.
I feel pretty similarly. I feel like it's going to get a little bit of a review boost because it's the Legends formula that people like a lot, and it runs better than it did on the Switch 1. And I think because of that, it's going to get a pretty decent base score. I don't think the additions to this entry in the series are going to be smashing successes, but I don't think they're going to drag it down too much.
Yeah.
I will say
it's going to be very much in the ballpark of Legends with a little bit of padding because people are glad that it runs at a respectable frame right now.
Yeah, and I will say this. The Pokemon Worlds Championship for like the TCG, the video games, is this weekend. And they did announce that there's going to be a playable demo of ZA there. So I expect us to get like a lot of information as far as like how the gameplay feels, works, people's personal opinions very, very soon. So definitely keep an eye out for that. That might even be like a good topic for like a near future episode.
Yeah.
I wish I was there, but I couldn't be in California. RIP. But yeah, that's my theory.
All right, next up is Dragon Drive. I still don't know what it's called.
So technically this game comes out tomorrow, so don't look it up because I'm sure the reviews are already out, like the early reviews. I heard some people played didn't they have like an open beta or a demo or something
it was like a test weekend.
And I heard that it was very whelming.
Yeah. I'm going to say 65.
That's I think I'm in that neighborhood too.
Leaning toward bad. This like the welcome tour should have been included with the console.
Yeah, maybe not that game to be included with the console, but I'm going with mediocre, so I'm leaning towards like a 62, 63.
Okay. I'm kind of feeling a 62 as well.
Well, I'll say 63, so we don't have the same answer then.
Okay.
It should be a 98.
Be incredible.
Comes the surprise hit of the year.
Okay, so Kirby and the Forgotten Land, and I did confirm that the Nintendo Switch 2 editions of Nintendo Switch 1 games do have their own Metacritic scores.
Higher than it should be for what it is. Like it's a port with some added content.
It's like Bowser's Fury, right? In that regard.
No, I guess
not even. Because that was a really revamped experience.
It's more like back in the day when you would get like a PC expansion of a game, where it's like it's the same game but with more stuff. You know, it's like there's meaningful amounts of new content, and it is still very much the same game and the same engine.
Okay, I wasn't sure if Star-Crossed Worlds was like its own separate thing, but it sounds like it's a DLC basically.
Basically, yeah. Okay. I'm going to say 85, which is what the original got. And I think
it's exactly what I was going to say, and I didn't even know what the original got.
I think it's going to hit right in that same middle of the this is a very good game.
Yeah. I'll take 84 just because in my heart, I don't want Nintendo to get this like standing ovation for this kind of stuff. These efforts should not be $80 packages.
Agreed.
Oh, it's $80?
Well, yeah. If you're buying it as a Switch 2 game, if you already own it and you upgrade, it's a $10 upgrade or a $20 upgrade. Yeah. So it's that whole thing where the new games are more expensive. The upgrade path is whatever the difference is between the original
So
price.
At that point, why wouldn't I just buy the game for $60 and then pay the $10 if they're trying to sell it for $80?
It's 20.
There's no price difference, yeah.
Oh,
some of the upgrades are only 10. Some of them are 20. It's based on how much content it is, seemingly.
You could buy like a used copy off eBay or something.
That's the move.
pay $20. Yeah.
Yeah, head to your local
A used
GameStop.
copy of the Switch 1 version. Little
Yeah.
tip for all you listeners out there.
But I do like the idea of just having everything on one cart if I'm doing a Switch 2 thing. You know what I mean? Assuming like
I also love the
Star
idea of
Cross
not giving them
World
$80 for 5-year-old games, though. So
fair, not foul.
two conflicting ideas.
So I'm going to go with like an 81, right?
Okay.
And my logic is it's not that this version of the game is going to be worse than the original. It's that people are going to be judging the added content through like a microscope with like more intensity. So they're going to judge it more harshly than they did the first time around. And it'll still
I
be
feel
good.
like if they do that, I feel like that would boost the score.
Yeah, but it's sort of like, is it worth the extra $20? I don't know, but it's still a fun game if you've never played it. This is the version to play. And then they give it a slightly lower score.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I think it might get a higher score because it is like, from what we've been told, it seems like a very substantial amount of new content for $20. So I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Fair enough.
Last one, Daemon X Machina, Titanic Scion. I'm gonna guess 70.
Ooh, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm not super familiar with this game to have.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess what
guess.
this game is about because I have no idea.
let me
Matt
see.
Damon in a mech suit fighting zombies.
Very close.
Surprisingly close.
Surprisingly close. Yeah, the original was a very mediocre Switch launch title, and it's weird that it's getting a sequel.
Interesting.
Hopefully it'll be better.
Is it Red Steel?
Yeah, that energy.
I predict this game getting like a 76, 77,
Okay.
if I'm being generous.
What do you think, Jack?
Based off literally absolutely nothing. Let's go 81.
81 vibes.
Yeah. It's surprises and delights.
I think that would be delightful to see that happen. Okay. Final category, 2 questions. I got 2 games on the short list because I don't think there's any other games that could be. Will DK Bonanza or Metroid Prime 4 be a game of the year contender? Will it be a one of the 4 games nominated for game of the year at the Game Awards?
Bonanza, absolutely. Would be shocked if it's not. I guess you guys can answer Bonanza while I put some thought into Metroid Prime 4.
I 100% think yes for DK Bonanza. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I think it made a huge splash. It's reviewed super hot, and I think a lot of the people who are voters responded to it. You know, all the major outlets gave it like a 9 or a 10. So I think it's on the list. I don't even think that there's another game I can think of this year that has performed as well as it has.
Yeah, so I think as far as
Critically,
nomination, DK Bonanza has shoo-in. As far as winning, if it weren't for Clair Obscur, I would say it has a really good shot.
I think Clair Obscur is a more niche thing, is the only thing against it. I think
it caters well to the voters.
That's definitely
that
true.
award, though.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point.
So that would be that's my only thing. I
Not
think
to sidetrack
Claire Obscur's
too
gonna
hard, but what would be the nominees? Clair Obscur will for sure be in there. DK Bonanza, I think, will also for sure be in there. What are those other 2 at the moment looking like?
Death Stranding too.
Oh, yeah, good call.
What else?
Blueprints or Split Fiction, I could see.
Split Fiction, I feel like there's the fatigue of It Takes Two already winning it. I'm not sure if it'll get the love.
I don't think
even though
it'll win. I think it could still be nominated.
It could. Yeah.
I think that's it, though. I don't think there's any other game that has really broken into that upper echelon that it needs to.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then that settles it for me. I can't see Metroid Prime 4 standing up to any of those 4 games we just mentioned, so I'll say no.
There you go.
But it might get at least a nomination.
And again, I think it will be great. I just don't think.
I think it will be
Clair
probably
Obscur as well. I don't think it caters to what that award represents, or at least what it's represented in the past 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I think your best bet is it winning action adventure game.
Yeah,
Yep.
no.
Agreed.
All right, so what do you think, Ken?
So I would say, because I'm trying to think what comes out later this year that can knock Metroid Prime 4 off the pedestal for being nominated, assuming it's
Dragon
as good
Drive.
as it should be. I'm going to go with yes with the nomination, but no in terms of winning. So I think it's going to get nominated.
Yes for both?
If it comes out this year, right? But I think it will.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, if I'm going to go with yes for both. I think Nintendo is going to be like on a roll.
There you go. I mean, that would be a hell of a answer to the Nintendo Switch's 1-2 punch of its first year. So that would be pretty cool.
Yep.
I suppose we'll have to wait and see.
We shall see.
Folks, thank you for joining us here in another episode of Nintendo Noise. If you want to write in and let us know your thoughts on the rest of Nintendo Switch 2's first year, there's a bunch of ways you can do that, all of which you can find over at flipscreen.games. That's the website where you can find all the ways to show your support or get involved in the community. And, of course, a very special thank you to our Patreon producers for the month of August. They are, of course, Arnold J. Rimmer, Christopher Valenz, Gabriel Hasselmeyer, a.k.a. Sobe, Steve Stompy, Susan Still Likes Cats and also Boobies, That One Kid Nick, Ty the Dude, Voodoo Vic, and Wakahula. Thank you all so much for your support over on patreon.com/flipscreengames. Y'all the realest of the real, and we greatly appreciate your support of this and all of our sister shows. For the crew, I've been Pete. He's been Ken. He's been Jack. We'll see you next week.